All right.
So you're in YouTube.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Go.
Hey, this is Rhett Palmer. How are you? That camera looks awful close to me. I don't know if it's showing all my my wrinkles, but that's okay. Hey, this is a show you don't want to miss. Former U.S. diplomat David Hunter is in the studio, who's a diplomat to Ukraine, lived there for a few years. South Korea, lived there for a few years. Pakistan, India, Spain, been all over the world. We've got a lot to talk about today. Canada's Prime Minister, is stepping down. I watched a video last night on national TV, and the crowds were hooting and hollering. Why are they so happy? Jimmy Carter, who my diplomat friend here also got to meet. I also got to interview Jimmy Carter, President of the United States.
Yeah.
We're going to talk about him. We have a picture right here.
There's a picture.
There's a picture. You got it? Okay.
Let's see,
And then we have John Le Pen. He's from the far right, the godfather of the far right in France. We're going to be talking about him. And in South Korea, what's going on in South Korea right now? Yoon. What about Yoon?
Yoon is refusing to step down.
Well, that's right. He's the guy that I liked. He was very conservative, but he got all emotional and tried to enact
Martial law.
Martial law. A very dangerous incident. Of course, then we got Israel and Gaza and all that stuff. So let's go. We're going to go over these briefly, and then we're going to go back and see if we can get more in depth. We are having a late start. As I said, we have new equipment, new microphones, new cameras, and it's all being worked out. And so it's going to give a better product ultimately to you, but we want to be big shots like Joe Rogan. Without the swearing, without the F word every 17 seconds.
Right.
But anyway, we pray for that man's soul. Hallelujah. He's coming along. All right. So let's talk first of all about, let's talk about Jimmy Carter first. What your experience with meeting him?
Okay. Well, what I should say about Carter, I did meet him personally in 1993. He was coming to Korea at the invitation of Bill Clinton, who was then president. Because the North Koreans were developing what's called enrichment programs for plutonium, and that was the threat was that they were going to have a nuclear bomb, and so Clinton was actually prepared to start a war to destroy the capacity of North Korea.
Boy, that would have been wild.
Well, it would have been wild, but
because we lost a lot of men there in World War II, right?
No, in the Korean War. Korean War, which was in the 1950s. 1950s.
That was right after the war.
Yeah, 1950s. Yeah. But our position at that time with Clinton was absolutely never is North Korea going to have a nuclear weapon. Never. That was the position, and they didn't have nuclear weapons.
So should we take him? Should we follow? Clinton is a genius. I mean, the guy's a Rhodes Scholar. Who cares about his personal life? The guy was smart, right?
The threat that he did, which was a very credible threat. We were literally doing countdown of like within 2 weeks of starting the war. What were we going to do? The American military was going to attack the North Koreans. To prevent them from having nuclear weapons.
Wouldn't have been nice if we did that because we could have set those people free. Now they're under the...
you never know what'll happen. A war is unpredictable. A war is unpredictable. Anyway, Jimmy Carter came up to
Not Jimmy Carter.
Jimmy Carter, who was the former president.
Clinton
was the president.
Oh.
Clinton was the president, but Jimmy Carter came as the former president.
And talked him out of it.
And as a peace negotiator, he talked the North Koreans out of developing nuclear weapons.
Carter was a good man, but weak.
Rhett, you're not following this. He did a great accomplishment. Let me explain this. We were within 2 weeks of a war starting. If the war had started, I probably wouldn't be here today. I would be dead.
Why?
Because we wouldn't have been able to get out of South Korea. South Korea was a traffic jam. Look at the fires going on up in California today. Yeah. They can't get out of the
they're locked.
They're locked. The valley's locked and the fire's coming in. Same thing.
Horrible.
We would have been stuck in traffic. We wouldn't have been able to get out of South Korea.
Yeah.
And we would have been killed. So Carter came and negotiated with...
Well, the one good thing of that, I wouldn't have had to put up with you for 5 years.
That's true. Yeah, but
or UI.
So I consider Carter to have saved my life.
Really?
Because he made peace with the North under the terms that Clinton had said, which was, North, you can't have nuclear weapons. Mm-hmm. And Carter negotiated that with the North.
The Bible does say, blessed are the peacemakers, for they shall be called the children of God.
So anyway, that's Jimmy Carter. Yeah. He also was successful in the Camp David Accords with Menachem Begin and Anwar Sadat.
Amazing.
That was beautiful, and that worked for The Egyptian peace has held ever since. The peace of Israel and Egypt has held ever since
I hadn't realized that.
that Camp David Accord.
Wow.
So that was an accomplishment of Jimmy Carter.
Yeah.
But he also failed to deliver the captives from the embassy in Iran. And that was happening right
Until
at the...
Reagan, they got scared before Reagan got into office, right?
Actually, they got out the day Reagan took office.
Yeah. Day 444.
The day that he, like Trump is coming up to
Yeah.
become the president on the 20th of January, the same
And
thing.
he's scaring the guys
Well-
over there, saying, "You don't release them, there's going to be hell to pay."
Well, that's what the deal was with Carter and the Iranians and Reagan. Apparently, was that the Iranians would release them, but only to Reagan, not to Carter,
Okay.
for some reason. So
Now, we got a lot to
Yeah,
cover.
we got a
here.
lot to
So
cover.
Is
So
that
that's
the
Carter.
essentials? That's the
That's the
essentials of
essentials
Carter.
on
You and
Carter.
I would both agree that meeting him, he was a kind man.
he was a brilliant man, a kind man, and a good Christian.
Yeah.
Okay.
You know, I got to listen to this. I'm pretty proud of this
Yeah.
fact. So most people don't know. Matter of fact, Steven Spielberg did not do it. And Doris Wins Corns, or whatever her name is, Corns, the famous historian.
Yeah.
She was the guest on my show. I got to tell her, and I got to tell Jimmy Carter a truth that they didn't know about. You know, Abe Lincoln went into a theater, Ford Theater. It was a comedy. Most people don't understand it was a comedy, okay? So he's watching this comedy, and Mary Todd Lincoln will later say it was totally out of character. Right before he was shot, he turned to Mary Todd Lincoln and said, "Mary, I don't know why, but I'm imbued with a desire to see Jerusalem." Boom! Okay.
Yeah.
So I believe the Spirit of God was preparing his heart, his soul, to the fact that he was about to enter the real Jerusalem, the one
Right.
that Jerusalem.
Anyway, so you told that to
I
Carter.
told to Carter. He did not know that. I told Kearns Goodwin, whatever her name is. I told it to her. It made it in the film because I told her it was Spielberg, but they already shot the scenes in the Ford Theater. So what they did is when they're going along to the theater, the nighttime thing, he says that in the carriage, but he didn't say it in the carriage in
so
real
they
life.
changed the
Yep, they
story.
they put that in
They
there.
put it in, but they
So it would
changed
be
it.
in there, yeah.
But I got you.
That's a
Okay.
pretty cool story.
All right, anyway, let's move on to the...
Let's move on to the next. Let's talk about Canada. Everybody's concerned about Canada because Trump is saying, "Hey, they'd make a good 53rd state,
51st state.
51st."
Yeah. 51st. See, we have 50 states
Yeah, 50.
right now. We have
Why
50.
did I think we had 52? I don't
No,
know.
we don't. 50. Anyway, so
52 weeks in a year.
this was...
That's it.
Let me explain this to the audience.
Yeah.
If you're not paying attention, many people are busy with other stuff.
Trudeau.
No, they're busy with other things. Trump said at Mar-a-Lago yesterday in a long interview, one of the items he discussed in some detail was the fact that he thought Canada should become the 51st state and that we would evaporate the border between Canada and the United States.
He thinks it would be a boon for them and for us.
Well, yeah, and he was also saying that
Financially, right?
He was saying that we're in an unfair economic relationship with Canada now. That they are selling us all this lumber that we don't need, and they're selling us oil and gas
Why
that
are
we
we
don't
buying
need.
it?
And they're selling us automobiles. 20% of our American automobiles are made in Canada, and we don't need them. That's what Trump said. Okay, now believe me. I've got Canadian friends, and they are very concerned with this.
Yeah.
They are not taking this lightly. The claim that Trump wants to take over Canada is seen as a form of threat and aggression.
Sure.
And he's saying, if you don't allow us to take you over and make you our state, we will impose tariffs
Yeah.
on you. Okay,
Now, I don't want to. Let me just put this in just a little thing. You know, I'm a musician, and I
Yeah.
used to go up to Canada to do my records when I was younger. I also
Yeah.
did musical jingles. So I go over the
Right.
border. If I had $10,000, it turned into $20,000 because we went over the border. Our dollar's always been stronger. I also
Yeah.
ended up buying a cottage and living up there
Right.
in Lake of Bays for a while, about 2 hours above Toronto, or east of Toronto. Anyway, so as a musician, they will all, now we have a lot of famous musicians in America that are Canadian born and bred. You know that. A lot of
Yeah,
our
yeah,
celebrities,
okay.
a lot of stars.
All right.
Okay. Unfair that all 60% of all airtime has got to go to Canadian artists, meaning there's a good chance they will never play my music in Canada, but their artists are allowed to come down here and get wealthy and successful in America. That needs to change.
Yeah.
Also, there's this on behalf of the Canadians. It's not fair that a book sells here for $30 and it's $42 in Canada. If it's 25 here, it's 36 up there.
Okay.
Why have they always been,
All right.
there's
Let's
some unfair stuff going
Yeah,
on. But,
there-
Canada does better when
Yeah.
their dollar's weaker because we do more business with them. This is what I was told.
Yeah. Well, we're not going to get into the weeds on that right now. We can
right.
do that at some other time.
So what do you think?
What I want to point out for our audience out there, let's take a macro perspective.
Yeah.
First of all, Canada has 39 million people. Okay, 39 million. That's probably about the size of California.
Yeah.
Something in that range. All right.
15 years ago, they were only 25, so they're
Yeah,
growing
yeah.
exponentially.
And they,
That's a third.
And
didn't know that.
we talked about Trudeau saying that he's resigning. That was
Yes.
the main thing.
Yes.
Before this thing with Trump commented yesterday,
Yeah.
the main topic was Trudeau is resigning.
Why are they so vitriolic towards Trudeau? Because his father I liked when I was a
Well,
kid.
Trudeau, the Canadian public, right now, Trudeau is liberal, okay? There's no doubt. His party is called the Liberal Party.
Have they failed like Biden failed us?
Yes, they have. In fact, the main thing is homelessness is on the rise. There's a shortage of housing. We have the same problem here. They have one of the highest housing per price ratios in the European community. So they're very expensive, the houses are. In
Oh,
fact,
you mean like in Toronto?
in all of these areas of Canada, the housing prices are
I should
astronomically
have
high.
kept my cottage.
They have gone up by 350%.
Oh my word!
In since 2020. I mean, since
So
2000.
if I sold my cottage for $350,000, what would it be worth
I don't
now?
know, three,
$3
it'd be
million?
three times that. Yeah, three times
Or
that.
at least 1.5
yeah, three
million?
times.
Okay.
Yeah. So anyway, then they're facing that's inflation. The housing price is part of inflation, but inflation is going up. And they also have lots of immigrants, illegal immigrants, many from Venezuela.
The reason they went up 14 million people in
Many-
the past 10 years is because their doors are wide open.
Well, I'm not sure. There are.
They got a lot of territory up there.
They have a lot of territory. This is the part that you have to remember. Canada is the fourth largest country by landmass in the world. It's huge landmass, and yet its population is 0.5% of the world's population. So
Say what again?
0.5%, meaning
No.
less than a half of 1%.
Wow.
That's the population of world population in Canada. So Canada is a very small number of people living in a very large area.
Yeah.
Okay, so they have room for more people. Let's put it that way. They do. But
And they have good coffee at Tim Hortons, too.
but the point is that the Liberals, they have been seen as not having delivered the goods.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
in some ways it's like what's happened with Biden and the Democrats here. They didn't deliver the goods.
Yeah.
So
Boy, the liberals are falling apart everywhere, and we need. Remember, I've had world-class economic guys in here.
Yeah.
When Clinton was president, one thing
Yeah.
I learned, that was when Clinton was president. They said, this whole United States works better when we have a balance of both parties. We need both parties. Otherwise, one can go over the edge.
Right.
And, even I, as a conservative right now, I'm going, okay, I'm watching Trump. I believe he's a good CEO. And I resist change just like you and all of us do. The Canadians don't want change. It could be a good thing. I don't know, but I do know this. If FDR was in office today, and I love FDR.
Yeah.
And I'm
and
glad
he created Social Security.
and I get, I have that. And so did my parents before me.
Yeah.
And if he had done that now, let's say we didn't have Social Security right now, and that somebody was, I said, oh, you commie, you socialist, rah, 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 rah. Thank God FDR got that through.
Yeah. Well, let's go back to the Canadian situation.
Although that money invested would
All
have
right.
made everybody
Okay, let's
worth
go
about,
back to the Canadian situation. The conservative alternative to Trudeau
to Trudeau.
is Pierre Poilievre.
Does it look good for him?
Pierre Poilievre. Yes, it looks very good for him. But let me describe who Pierre is, just so you know. He is what I call the anti-wokeism candidate.
That I like.
I know. He believes in building homes, not bureaucracy.
Meaning, so good to get the government out of the way
And let homes be built. Yes.
Yeah.
So he's actually passed.
Because like building a business in Vero Beach, Florida, it took this couple for a sandwich shop 3 years. How are they going to feed their family?
All right. He also is wanting to make Canada the blockchain capital of the world.
What does that mean?
That means Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies.
Oh.
He's really into that.
Trump is.
I know this is.
that too,
I'm
right?
trying to explain this.
Boy, though, that's gone up. Like
he-
if you had a a $30 Bitcoin investment is now $100. That's a considerable amount of money.
He thinks female spaces should be exclusively for females, not for biological males.
Personally, I agree. Hey, I don't want some guy. I had a guy walking in the bathroom at McDonald's. My wife's in there. Hey, I'm going to come in. I'm going to kill you.
Yeah.
And my daughter? Oh, no. My daughter, my granddaughter?
Yeah.
That'd be it. I'm going to prison because I'm about to commit murder.
Right. And he opposes the South African genocide claims against Israel. He thinks that's anti-Semitic, what South Africa is doing against Israel.
I know nothing about that.
Yeah, well, anyway, that's where the Court of Justice has made a decision based on the South Africans, the Court of Justice in The Hague, International Court of Justice, to try Israel for genocide. He is against that. So, in a way, what I would call him is
Israel was attacked.
Yeah.
I mean, maybe they've gone extreme. Yes, okay, but they were attacked. I mean,
all right. Anyway, what I'm trying to explain here is that Poilievre, if you look at his policies that he supports, he would be what I call Trump light. He's very similar to Trump.
Trump light.
He's
L-I-T-E?
L-I-T-E or L-I, yeah, meaning he's not the full heavy version.
By the way, what do those spellings mean?
Yeah, lightweight. Yeah, lightweight.
Is L-I-T-E?
Yeah, like lightweight. L-I-T-E.
I didn't know that.
Lightweight, yeah.
And L-I-G-H-T.
And the thing up there on the ceiling is called L-I-G-H-T.
Yeah.
All right, so anyway, light. So Poilievre is likely to... He is likely to become the next... Prime Minister of Canada. Okay. Yes, the Conservative. He's the Conservative.
They're a parliament as opposed to a republic or a democracy.
Yes, right? They are. And a parliament, by the way, this is an interesting feature. The parliament is subject to, Canada is under King
Charles?
King Charles, yes. He is called the King of Canada.
But that's all for...
no, it's not for show. This is reality. Reality is...
Does he have authority?
Yes, he is the King of Canada.
What sort of authority does he have?
All authority, absolute, even over the military. King Charles has control.
He doesn't even have that in England.
He has control over the. This is the rule.
Lydia is agreeing with you. She's not.
This is the rule. This is the rule of Canada. He is the Canadian monarch. The Canadian monarch. They are under what's called along with 14 other Commonwealth countries. Each of those Commonwealth countries has the King of England as their king.
Okay, so how do you think about that? How do you feel about those? Separate those two things.
Well, what I'm explaining is there's something called a proroguing. Proroguing is where the King of England can essentially suspend Parliament. He can either dissolve it or he can suspend it, and he has done so. He has done so.
When?
Just now. The Parliament of Canada is prorogued. It's shut down. And it is
by King Charles?
By King Charles.
When did this happen? Last night?
Yesterday, yeah. Yesterday.
No!
Yeah.
So what does this mean?
Now the fact is the Canadians...
This is exciting.
The Canadians who are subjects of the king and loyal subjects...
Who is?
The Canadians.
The Canadians.
They are subjects of the king.
Yes.
King Charles is their king.
Yeah.
But not the King of England, the King of Canada. Okay? So...
wow.
Now, this is something Donald Trump hasn't thought about and probably doesn't know a clue.
We're going to be at war with England.
Well, the point is...
Get out the militia!
The point is...
Where are the Minutemen?
The point is, if he wants to annex Canada, he has to have permission from King Charles. He doesn't just take it away from the Canadians. Yeah. The sovereignty of Canada is the sovereign of King Charles, the English king. So
now, King Charles has been a front man for Canada, for England all these years. He seems like an astute individual. Yeah. He comes from a good background. He's highly educated.
His mother was the queen.
I mean, she was a good queen.
Yeah, she was.
She was exemplary.
And she was tough. She's not going to let Trump steal Canada from her.
She was the greatest queen they ever had. And Diana was the greatest princess they ever had.
So the question is, Trump's claim that he wants to annex Canada, and if not, he's going to impose huge tariffs on them.
Well, that is our privilege.
That is, well, I would say this. Trump is a neophyte. He doesn't know what he's doing, and he's threatening. Let me explain. Okay. Let me explain. I'm not a neophyte. Means he's new on this subject. No. I am an international trade specialist. Okay.
That's right. I forgot about
All right.
that. Yeah.
Now we have had a huge expansion of global trade over the years.
Okay.
All of that took time to build. Our companies had to build relationships with other countries. Those countries had to build relationships
There's
with
a lot
ours.
at stake
A
here.
lot has been built up. Now, you impose tariffs, and what you're doing is you're tearing down that whole trade structure. Now, you may say, oh, I only want cars if they're made in America, and I only want, microchips if they're made in America. But you have to understand, we built this international trade system to benefit everybody. It was called a mutually beneficial
But
trade
you're
system.
an objective guy, right?
Yeah.
Did it get out of balance, like with China?
Yes, it did. There are some areas where it
How
needs
do
to
we
be tweaked.
rectify that?
There are some areas where we need to tweak it. And to some extent, if Trump were to focus on what I call the security vulnerabilities, I'm an expert on that area, by the way.
Security vulnerabilities.
Trade security vulnerabilities.
Okay.
For example, Biden just recently imposed a block on Nippon Steel buying U.S. steel. U.S. Steel is
Why?
one of our, well, he's saying for security reasons. He's saying we cannot rely on a foreign country, even as friendly a country as Japan, taking over one of our main strategic industries. When we need to build tanks, we need steel.
Yeah.
And if you don't have your own steel mill, what are you going to do? Order it from Japan?
Because this is reminiscent of Winston Churchill when he went up before he was prime minister again.
Yeah.
Before he was prime minister, he said the Germans are up to something. They're buying all this stuff off planes from us.
Yeah.
We've got to stop it. And they called him an old fart and that he should retire. This
Yeah.
is prior to World War II.
Right.
So this is reminiscent of that era.
So anyway, if Trump wants to focus on what I call strategic assets and strategic vulnerability,
Yeah.
aluminum, steel, maybe to some extent microchips, things like that, and try to insist on those being made in America only, or at least have enough of them made in America that we don't ever have a shortage of supply because we can't get them from abroad. That is a good idea. And that's what you meant by they.
We can get him from abroad or a guy.
Well,
Doesn't matter.
no, I mean
That's a joke.
the idea
Stupid
that
joke.
yeah.
Ba-da-bum.
Okay, so there is that element of a what I call an imbalance of trade,
Yeah.
but for Trump to sit there and use tariffs as a
Now, let me ask you something, since you know about that.
Yeah.
You went to the London School of Economics, right? Okay.
right.
So what amazes me is there was a time that
Yeah.
there was no income tax. And I always wondered, like when we had the Revolutionary War, we borrowed $1 million from France and paid them back. I'm thinking, how did our government run without taxes? Well, was it not tariffs?
No, actually, the way that they paid back, I know somebody that was involved in that. In fact, it was directly connected to one of my ancestors up in northern New York.
Okay.
This guy provided a huge amount of financing for the Revolutionary War.
Was he Jewish? Because there's a Jewish guy that gave us $1
he
million
wasn't.
bucks,
No, he wasn't.
How do the Jews always have the money?
Anyway.
Even back in the Revolution.
Okay.
They got a guy way back then.
Okay. Anyway,
It's when he worked for $50
this guy-
a year.
this
This guy's
guy-
the Jews $1 million, but he gave $1 million to us.
Anyway,
now.
this guy was a
we have
Frenchman.
9 minutes left, so what
I
do you
know
want?
he was a Frenchman, and he
And?
provided the
How
equivalent
did we
of
pay him back?
by giving him land in northern New York.
Oh, okay. So
that's how he paid
He
it.
became a New Yorker.
No, his son became a New Yorker.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Now, what's most significant here? Okay, we're concerned about this in Korea. What's his name?
Yoon.
Yoon.
Mr.
Only
Yoon.
because now I don't know much about this subject, but I probably would like Yoon because he, up to this point, has been successful at being a conservative guy, right? But he overstepped his boundary by dictating that they would have a martial law.
Yeah.
So, and that really it took the tail off his plane, and it's crashing.
Yeah.
I mean, inevitably he's out, right?
Well, that's what
Am I
I
right?
said. I said when we had talked about this before the Christmas break.
Yes, you did.
He had just declared martial law,
Yeah.
and 6 hours later, the martial law had been rescinded.
yeah.
Okay.
They said no.
And that was because the Korean Parliament had assembled, and
They said they have authority over him, so
And
they
they
can
had authority over him.
subjugate his
yes,
decision.
his decision of martial law.
Yeah.
Now, and I said at that time he's a dead man walking. Okay, meaning
dead really, but
meaning that his political
politically,
career.
yeah.
Well, since then he has been holed up. The courts decided that he was guilty.
Ooh.
They have said that what he did in this attempt to martial law was an
emotional reaction, but he should have been.
it was inappropriate. Let me put it that way. And his claim is and his supporters, and he does have supporters.
Okay.
Think of it like MAGA. You know, he has a MAGA crowd supporting him. They're saying he had the right to declare martial law, and therefore you are.
What was going on that he declared the martial law?
That's the problem. There
Was
was
there
nothing
mayhem?
going on. There was nothing good. There was no mayhem. There was no mayhem. He just declared martial law because the Congress wasn't cooperating with him on passing some bills. He did not have.
No,
the
you're not. You're sure about
I'm
all
sure
this.
about that. Yeah, I'm not making this up. You can look it up. He was not having the Congress cooperate with him on passing bills, and he claimed the Congress and the members of the
Okay,
the
bottom line. We have
Parliament.
7 minutes. We got a lot
Yeah, I
to
know.
show. What's the bottom line here?
So-
We're just
so-
gonna have to wait it out.
So right now he is holed up in the Blue House, which is the like our White House, you know, the presidential mansion, and he's got security guards of the presidential security protecting him, but the Korean the Korean government has just issued for the second time an arrest warrant. The first arrest warrant expired,
Oh,
and he
my.
has just been issued a new arrest warrant, and so they are now.
Are they responding too emotionally about his emotional response, or do you think this is all justified?
Well, the only thing I'm going to say, I think that there's a risk of, even though I think South Korea, we've invested in South Korea as a
Was
democracy.
he doing a good job up till now?
Yes, that's
Well,
the
one guy
problem.
makes one very, very bad faux pas.
Yeah.
Doesn't make him Hitler.
Well, except that he's now, he's not playing by the rules. He's now saying that in fact there are people in his support crowd, I call them the Korean MAGA, who are walking around with signs saying "Stop the steal." Literally, they have in English signs saying "Stop the steal." They adopted that from Trump's group, which was claiming that Trump had had his election stolen. So they're saying that by removing
And
you,
there are those of us, like me,
Yeah.
who still believe Biden did not win the
okay,
second time.
I know, but so what?
But I
what's-
think by the hand of God, he allowed the illusion to go through because then Trump was off on the sidelines. Now he's learning. Trump admit, I've been saying this, you've heard me say this for years. I said Trump got in there, he was a novice. He was a businessman,
Yeah.
not a politician. Totally different thing.
Yeah.
So, and he said just recently, he said, I was in there, I didn't know what I was doing, learning on the job. Now he's come back 8 years later and he goes, oh, different set of rules for politics as opposed
By the
to
way,
being
novice and neophyte is the same thing. I just
Yes.
mentioned in
Yes,
the
neophyte,
discussion
novice.
with Canada.
Yeah, I know.
said Trump is a neophyte
Yes.
about tariffs, using tariffs
I don't know
as a
to what
political
degree,
weapon.
but I do know this.
Yeah,
I do know this.
yeah,
You and I are sitting here.
yeah.
Trump is far more successful financially, economically. He's brilliant as a businessman. Now, so, you know, there is a time you kind of go, okay, where's our humility to say, well, Trump's, you know, I don't know what's going on with Trump. Even Rogan, all these other people have worked with him. The
Yeah.
vice president have
All right,
said
we only
private-
have 5 minutes. Let's
they
not
said
talk about
privately,
Trump.
he's
Let's not talk about Trump.
amazingly young for 78.
Okay.
He must be getting shots of something or vitamins
Okay.
or something.
Okay,
I don't know.
so-
he's eating a lot of flax oil or
Yeah.
something. I don't know.
All right. Reagan used to eat what's called queen bee powder or something like that. Yeah, yeah,
That's
that
the
was-
royal jelly.
Royal
I
jelly,
used to
yeah,
eat
yeah.
that when I was
Okay.
younger too.
Maybe you
That's
should
why I'm
try
so
it.
brilliant now.
All right. So why don't you take it now?
Who are you? Where
Okay.
am I?
Okay, so we've discussed Yoon. Yoon is still in the presidential palace,
Yeah.
and they're going to have to work it out. I'm
Yeah.
hoping that it will not lead to a conflict. You could see a civil war or something like that break out over
In
this
South Korea.
In South Korea, you could.
Oh, that,
I'm not
you know
predicting
what?
it.
What about that dictator up north? He could step in because the house divided cannot stand.
Well,
he could
you're-
come in and subdue those people.
That dictator.
Then
Kim-
we got a mess.
that we've got a mess already with the North Koreans and the South Koreans, and of course the Yoon is saying that the half of the people in South Korea are under the influence of that dictator up north.
You sang the accolades of Carter though.
Yeah.
And maybe it would have been better at that time if we had gone in and subdued North Korea. Those people would be free.
Well-
those people live in horrible lives, man.
Yeah,
They're prisoners.
Yeah.
And I am anti-imprisonment, and I am anti-bullying.
Yeah,
and
but
I am
you're also
anti-dictator.
anti-war, and
I am anti-war.
and that's the problem. So that's why we
Just like I really think I love Israel, and I
Yeah.
will stand with Israel 100%, 110%.
Yeah.
But couldn't, after that attack, which was horrible, is there some way that we could have sent to, what's the group that protects Israel? The guys behind the scenes, like the hidden group, like the CIA.
Mossad.
Mossad. Couldn't Mossad have gone in and just with
That would have
silencers
been
and just taken
that
out
would have
these
been a
guys?
far better approach than what they're doing, which is
Lydia says no. We couldn't have done that.
anyway. We've got that as the next topic, by the way, since we're
Okay, what is it?
Israel attacking.
Got 3 minutes.
Okay, Israel has been in the last week or two.
Yeah.
It has been engaged in attacking more hospitals. We remember 6 months ago they attacked the Al Shifa hospital,
Yeah.
claiming that there was a bunker under there, a Hamas bunker. Guess what? There was no bunker. That was bull. There was no bunker. They never found a bunker. This Hamas command center did not exist. Okay? You can look it up. I guarantee you, I'm telling you the truth. They also, in December, they attacked the Kamal Adwan hospital. They arrested the director, and they got the director to confess that, yes, we've been running this hospital as a Hamas center, and that the ambulances are hiding operatives, and they're transporting members of the terror squads.
Is
That's
that true?
the point. Is he was under a forced, torturous confession when he made that statement, and he has never been released to allow himself to clarify that. So, is it true? It's true that he said it. It came out of his mouth.
How do we know that? We have a video.
We
of
actually
it?
have a video of him saying that. But the point is,
I find it hard to believe
he was
that
under
the
captivity.
The Jews would ever be deceitful to make a man say something. That
Oh,
wasn't
give me
true.
a break, Rhett. You're naive as they come. Okay, if you don't understand
Probably.
if you don't understand what's going on,
And I'm overweight too.
Yeah. If you don't understand what's going on inside Israeli prisoner detention camps,
I know.
it is
I
torture.
do not.
They are doing
Really?
torture. It's clarified. There's documentation on it.
Well, before all this went down, I know in Gaza I was watching a documentary, and some little boy was in a wheelchair, and he'd just been over by the garbage,
Yeah.
and one of the Israeli soldiers had shot him. It failed to kill him, but now he's in a wheelchair for the rest of his life.
I know.
So there's good and bad, really bad
Yeah.
on both sides
Now,
of this.
I
thing.
want to open up in the last couple of minutes. I want to open up this a little wider in perspective. We all know about the New Orleans truck ramming that took place with the New Orleans truck ramming, Mr. Jabbar.
Oh, that guy.
The guy,
Yeah.
the Jabbar was driving a truck, and he was inspired allegedly by ISIS.
Yeah.
Now, the reality is, I want you to hear this carefully.
Yes.
The FBI director in November of 2023, this is after the attack of the Hamas on Israel.
Yes.
He said the U.S. is facing growing danger at home from the war of Israel and Hamas, thousands of miles away.
Okay.
He is facing. We have a rogues gallery of terrorist groups who are calling their followers to attack the United States as the primary source of arms and financial aid to Israel. This is the direct statement of our FBI director, Wray.
Yeah.
Wray cited the danger of a lone actor inspired by tensions of the war in Gaza to launch attacks on our own soil.
Okay.
Now, I'm going to suggest to you
Yes.
that this attack by Mr. Jabbar was directly connected to his anger
our support.
at our support for
Yes.
the war in Gaza.
Yes.
And in reality, I'm surprised that this hasn't happened earlier. I'm surprised that we have not seen more and more terrorist attacks against the United States because of our position of
I'm surprised
supporting.
that Obama was not shot and killed. I'm surprised that
Red,
Trump
Red,
was
Red,
not shot
Red,
and killed.
Red,
It
Red.
amazes me.
No,
how-
you're taking this out of context
No,
to say I'm
no.
surprised. I'm surprised that it's not raining today.
No. I'm
Don't
saying,
keep stay on the focus. Stay on the focus.
I am. I'm making my statement, and that is that I agree with you
Yeah.
that it's amazing this didn't happen sooner.
Yeah, and there was, by the way, a Christmas market attack in Germany.
Yeah.
Germany is another main supplier of Israel. So the Christmas market attack that took
Okay.
place.
We're out of time. You
so-
want to say one last thing?
So my point is, we need to understand that these wars have collateral damage and side effects that go far beyond what is happening. We can't close our eyes and say, oh, I don't want to hear about that. I just turn it off when it comes on. The reality
Just like
is,
we did to Hitler before we got struck by the Japs.
yeah. Well, we need to understand that these events have wide-ranging consequences.
yes.
And so if our public sits there and says, why did they attack me? I'm sitting over here, in New Orleans having
sure.
a nice time.
Yeah.
In reality, it's because the United States was supporting Israel against
we
Gaza.
do know this.
Yeah.
There's some pretty intelligent people that are probably following that whole thing right now, and they'll give us hopefully and honest to find out what's
Yeah.
behind this. Well, anyway, I want to
All
say
right.
thank you. I invite you if you want to come back.
Yeah.
I forget who I have booked on Friday. We can
Yeah.
do this or wait till
No,
next
that's
week.
okay. We'll wait till
But
next
I'm
week.
sorry that we were limited to only
We got some new
45 minutes
technology.
today.
Yeah, new technology. So that's good. At least we
Yeah, we apologize that
Yeah.
we got new mics, we got new cameras.
and thank you, audience, for being loyal and following.
Do I
this.
look any younger? Probably old. The other day I was going, oh my God, look at that. What's this? You know what I mean?
Okay. All right.
Anyway,
Sounds
The
good.
good thing about getting old is your eyes get fuzzy too, so you don't look as bad, you know? So I don't want that. Okay, we got to take a break. This is the mayor of
Yep.
the airways. Who loves you? Pray for peace
Yeah,
throughout
pray
the
for
world.
peace. Absolutely.
God bless Jerusalem.
Yeah. Okay. Okay.